Alright, guys, today, or yesterday actually, we saw Ex Machina. So Aiden, what was the plot synopsis of Ex Machina?
Ex Machina, basically, a boy wins a competition to go visit
A wasn't a boy.
Okay, a guy...
Saying a boy makes me think Charlie Plunkett. Saying a boy won a contest.
Okay, a guy wins
Willy
a contest
Wonka type shit.
and goes out to the lab of a roboticist, and he becomes involved in testing an AI unit that the roboticist is working on. Also, it's worth to note that this review will be spoilers. This is kind of a really story-based movie, so...
I'll be honest, all of our movies reviews.
Yes, I realize that. I was just giving an extra warning. Okay. So what did you think of the movie, Ex Machina?
I thought Ex Machina was a pretty good movie.
Is that all you want to say?
Pretty much.
No, I thought it was pretty great, too. It was a very slow-paced movie, very... classic sci-fi. There wasn't a whole lot of action. In fact, there was next to none. But, you know, all the way through it was really gripping. You're really leaving me with nothing,
Well, I'll dwell on some more shit. I was just gonna give you your time to speak. But anyways, yeah, like he said, it actually has a lot of old sci-fi elements to it. What's more about the inventions and the characters, how they react to it and shit, than just it's a sci-fi movie. He shoots a bunch of shit. The end. Like, there's one part I would consider action, I guess.
Yeah, even that is pretty
And
light on action.
that literally is like something you'd see in like a Lindsay Lohan type movie. You know?
I wouldn't exactly describe it that way, but...
Like Cadet Kelly type action. I don't know if anyone remembers Cadet Kelly, but it's actually one of my personal favorites. Other than that,
all the characters in it are really good. You know, I didn't think the main character, the guy, I can't remember his name. Kelvin, that's it. I didn't think Kelvin was too great an actor.
Oh no, he was a shitty actor. But everyone else in it
Oscar Isaac and the girl who played the robot Ava were both pretty incredible, and you know,
yeah,
it's a little tough to talk about simply because it's such a
it's not much
something
to
that you
talk
have
about in the movie, to be honest. A lot of it felt pretty CGI-y, so the budget did catch up to itself there, and the CGI wasn't like expert by any means.
Yeah.
But it was good and it was believable. Obviously, in the scenario they wanted to set up, you need CGI. It's hard to give them the feel they were going for, and it's not like they were like giant Transformers robots. It was more like the setting was put in CGI, so it was easier to make more of the amazing landscape this guy lives in. So, pretty impressive CGI. You could tell it was CGI often, but the story was compelling enough that I didn't really feel it that much, if that makes any sense. Like, I wasn't distracted by it. I thought it was interesting. I guess the ending was sort of predictable, but, I mean, I thought it came about pretty cool.
There were some different things that they did. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll let you.
I mean, I guess it could have ended more like Her or whatever, where it was just... Actually, I haven't seen Her, but I mean, like, the whole falling in love with a robot thing. But I guess, spoilers here, the thing is, the robot showed that he truly was human by, or she was human by, tricking him and using him in order to, gain her benefits, so... I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts was how the movie kind of played with the audience. You're told that Oscar Isaac, I can't remember his character's name, Oscar Isaac is essentially made out to be kind of a liar. He's a little bit of a douchebag anyway, but you're told that he's kind of villainous and evil and just a bad guy, but in the end,
he's more just creepy.
He's a little bit awkward and kind of a douche, but in the end, he's not evil. He's actually trying to do what he thinks is best, and the movie kind of plays with that.
Well, yeah, he mentions a lot about how something like that, like, he's more, like, weird, like, he knows that the AI will take advantage of mankind. It's kind of the next evolution of what'll live on the planet, which is something you can see in a lot of these themes, even in, like, the action movies. But it was kind of interesting in this aspect, even more so than we see in a lot of other movies. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting how not only was the robot or the AI, the AI playing with our main character's mind, but the movie itself kind of played with that too. Like, it tried to make you be on the side of Ava and be against Oscar Isaac and make you think, hey, this guy's not a good guy, but you know, it's done really well. It's hard to describe without seeing it. It's something you kind of have to experience, but
yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, Oscar Isaac, like, there are some parts where he proves he's not villainous. He's very calm in the way when people take advantage of him, and he admits basically from the beginning he's taking advantage of of Calvin pretty quickly there. I mean, overall, it's a pretty good movie. So I guess I don't have anything else really to talk about. Do you want to go to least favorite and favorite part?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you go.
No, you can go first. That's fine.
My favorite part is definitely the acting, especially from Ava and Oscar Isaac. I thought they were really, really good, and I thought the story was pretty compelling. Like you said...
Before you go into your least favorite, could I put in my 2 cents on that?
Yeah.
I agree the acting's quite good from Oscar Isaac and the girl who played Ava, but the guy who played Calvin sometimes kind of, he acted a little weird at times. Mm-hmm. He wasn't terrible by any means, like, it wasn't like, oh my god, but there were points where I was kind of like, eh.
Yeah,
I just didn't think he could, at some points he deciphered the line wrong, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because everyone else was, I don't know.
He wasn't amazing like the other two, but he was good enough.
That's the only reason I don't.
The other two really carried
as I could have.
But then the other part of that, my least favorite parts. There were some parts, like you said, where the CGI kind of was not so great. Other than that, I don't have any real major complaints about the movie. I was really happy that it stayed away from being a dumb action movie and tried to just be a smart movie. And unlike It Follows, even though not a lot happened, I really enjoyed myself the whole time.
Alright, my favorite part has to be, like Aidan said, I enjoyed the subtlety of the movie. It was kind of refreshing to see something that was kind of lower key. Even though I like big action movies once in a while, it's also nice to have these movies where you can decompress, and it's not overly artsy too. Like, I mean, Birdman wasn't action-packed, but when I watched it, like, the fact that it was meant to feel like a play and all that other garbage, it just felt very artsy to me. This movie wasn't trying to be like a huge action movie, and it wasn't trying to be this huge art house thing. And I kind of liked how it could find that kind of, like, you know, just like it's nice to sit down and watch. It's a nice breath of fresh air compared to other things we've been watching or we've been seeing in theaters lately, where it's either very action based and yeah, and it deserved more of the similarities to the old sci-fi movies. Like, It Follows tried to compare itself, I believe, to those 50s monster movies and stuff, with the characters often watching these 50s monster movies, even though, I mean, unless you're me, most teenagers aren't going to be watching Creature from the Black Lagoon and shit. They're like, hey, I need to get my boner hard by watching a movie where rap music's blasting while Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's flexing his cast off and there's close-up on titties and shit. And not that I'm downing Furious 7, I liked that movie, but I'm just saying, example of what kids my age like, generally. But, I mean, I think it deserved its comparison to those older 50s, 60s, low-budget, low technology was lesser at the time, so they had to make more do, and I think it deserved more of that comparison. And my least favorite part would actually be the technology in it. Some of the CGI looked a tad bad, and I'm not going to fully give it crap because that's the environment it wanted to create, and it would be very hard to create a lot of that environment practically, which it did have practically, but I mean, you can't, it's going to be impossible to build, you know, a waterfall or get a waterfall that you can build this huge set on. It's not going to happen, but I mean, some limits with CGI. I really don't have any huge gripes with this movie. I guess my least favorite part would have to be the other guy's acting. He wasn't terrible, but yeah, you know, he wasn't, compared to the others, he wasn't as good. But I think his character was less important. It was just supposed to kind of be there, you know. I mean, compared to the others, it wasn't meant to be this.
He was a means to an end. Not only for the character of Ava, but for the movie to really advance the
plot. Well, yeah, you need him. He's important, but I mean, I think the other characters are more compelling.
Yeah,
or meant to be more compelling and all that. So, yeah, that's all my thoughts about it. Unless Aidan has anything else to say.
Okay, the easy question: do you recommend this movie?
I can't recommend it to everyone. If you watch this, I mean, I understand if you only like higher paced action movies, and I'm not gonna blame you for it. But I mean, if you're a fan of those old 50s sci-fi movies, or you just kind of want something low key when you go to the movie theater, just kind of a 2.5 hour, or, you know, something to make you think, but nothing too artsy, it's great. So I definitely recommend it. But I mean, I want to warn you that there's going to be an audience of people that just don't have much interest in it. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I'd actually recommend this to everyone. It sounds a little weird, but I think there's a lot of room for action movies, and I love action movies as well. But I think a movie like this is both kind of accessible and thoughtful at the same time, without being pretentious. And I think a lot of people could get enjoyment out of it, and I know some people won't, but I think it's an interesting thing to watch.
Like I said, I think most people would enjoy it. My only concern is that, like, you can't take kids to it and shit.
Yes, I would not take kids, but
don't Mad Max it.
Speaking of action movies, we also saw Mad Max. You want to do the plot for Mad Max?
Are we gonna just go from this video, or are we doing them both in one?
I thought we were just doing both in one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm sorry.
I guess we'll go into Mad Max then. Mad Max, I guess I'll do the plot. Mad Max is back again. This time he's fighting another G.I. Joe-esque villain. And he goes down Fury Road and kills a bunch of people while driving. Along the way, he meets up with another group of basically sex slaves to the main villain, and they work together to kind of reclaim the lands that this, I guess, dictator would probably be an accurate term, took over. So, Aidan, what did you think of, I mean, if that's good.
Yeah, that's...
Okay.
That's
what did you think of Mad Max?
I thought it was amazing. At first, when I saw the trailer, I had my doubts, and then I kind of thought that it might be good, and I was pleasantly surprised with the movie, even with my expectations. Really, if the movie had been done with Mel Gibson back when the movie was written, back in the late 90s, it would have been the same movie, and I loved everything about it. I thought it was fantastic. What'd you think?
I agree. I thought it was fantastic. I agree with everything Aidan said. The thing I really want to point out is the use of CGI. They did it quite well. I mean, a lot of movies nowadays are going to overuse CGI, and in other directors' hands or other creators' hands, I won't give full credit to the creator. A lot of these cars would just be CGI, a little more, because, you know, a lot of movies just easiness sake. But this used CGI like CGI should be, as a tool to make the movie more grand and even better than it could have been. You know, I'm not anti-CGI, but I think practical effects are definitely well needed within a movie, and what they did was they combined these visual effects and old school tactics with CGI to make the movie superior to what it could have been. And I mean, they had a lot of practical effects, practical stunts.
All those cars, almost
the makeup
everyone.
had to have all been real done. I mean, it was crazy, it was fun. I mean, it shows its craziness through the sporadic editing, which all the Mad Maxes have done, but it's it was a beautiful piece of film, and I think Tom Hardy did quite good in the movie. I mean, you make fun of him for Bane and say he's a bad actor, but I mean, I mostly blame that movie on editing, and I mean, the voice was retarded, but I mean, the voice was different originally. I don't remember if they re-edited it or if they made him ADR the lines or whatever happened, but they sounded retarded the second time. He did very well in this movie. I loved the rat rods they made for the movie.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit. Like the main villain had like that Leave It to Beaver car, you know, like the old school early 60s late 50s type car, and then
and then it was stacked on top of another car,
and then it was stacked on top of another one.
Oh man. And almost the only one, like, they put CGI poles on top of the cars where people would hang from the poles and use them to swing between cars, but all of the cars were practically made except for like the back half of this really, really big one that had a whole band playing on it, because that one would be near impossible to make safely anyway. But, oh man, the movie looked so good all the way through. And they did a lot of cool things, like the opening scene, where it's kind of dreamlike and really eerie. Everything is played slightly fast, and it's jumpy, and it's really creepy and weird, and I just thought it was...
Yeah.
I really liked it. And then...
No, you can keep going, it's fine.
And then the end chase. Essentially the last act of the movie is all one gigantic chase. Like the whole movie's a gigantic chase, but the end
act is like basically...
It was so well done.
Basically they escape and they meet up and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go back and try and liberate those people. And then it's the chase too. So essentially it was mostly the chase in that final act. And it ended up being pretty cool.
It was amazing. There was so many things going on, and oh man.
I also liked how they were pretty ballsy. They weren't shying away from killing people in the movie and stuff. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, I guess. I mean, it's kind of obvious how it ends. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you have to be dumb not to guess how it ends because it's a Mad Max movie. But I mean, they did a lot of cool moves. I don't have much more to say except sheer raving for it. I mean, great acting. Everything about it was just fantastic. It definitely, like, a lot of movies, video games too, in development hell, if you get tossed in that kind of, that realm where it's like you just keep getting it put off and put off, you know, it can often end badly for the franchise. In this case, definitely did not. And
in some cases, sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm
in
just
some
saying
cases,
well.
when you see a movie, or even when you play a game, something like that,
Oh shit.
and it's of a franchise, and there's been a gap, sometimes you come out of it and you're like, that wasn't really part of that franchise.
Part of that has to do with hype too.
Yes, but this felt exactly like a Mad Max movie. Also really good. The guy who played Beast in X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past.
And then he played Warm Bodies and Warm Bodies.
Yeah. But he was
Probably
also
my favorite role.
He was also really, really good in this movie as Nux, who's one of the villain's henchmen turned kind of ally. You know, I mean, I can go on and on, but the movie is just
I mean, just see the movie. I don't think we need to dwell
It's
much
almost
more on it.
entirely visual, so it's really something you have to see.
Yeah.
I mean, so favorite and least favorite part.
I mean, my favorite part had to have been... I mean, there's so many great parts, but I mean, at an editing aspect, you got all the tone through editing. Like Aidan said, a lot of it was... There was a lot of driving segments and stuff, and I mean, a lot of the characters you meet and you see in the movie, you know about them through their driving and through the editing, what they're feeling. There's not a ton of talking in the movie. There is, and there's good character development and stuff, but generally, you're not getting a ton of talking, and that's why it was very cool to see, like, to see that type of stuff and watch that come into play and stuff. So I don't know. I thought that was very cool. So my favorite part had to have been the editing. My least favorite part. That's kind of hard. I mean, again, it's another very good movie. I mean, everything has flaws and least favorite parts, but I mean, I just enjoyed it so much. I guess we saw a lot about. I don't know, I'm trying to think. It's hard. I mean, I'm not saying it's flawless or anything, but I'm just saying generally there was for the most part, it was a very good movie. It's hard to find any parts that are definitively like, oh, I didn't like that part that much. But I don't know. I thought it was well acted. I liked all the parts. I guess maybe the worst part, I think, like, especially that final drive, I really liked it, but I mean, it could have been slightly shorter. I mean, at times, like, I'm like, I have to pee. This is going too long. I don't want to miss anything important. That's another thing, too, is, like, I went pee and I was gone for 2 minutes and I come back.
It was a very fast-paced movie.
Yeah, it was just thing goes on. There's no, like, few minutes of unimportant exposition. So, I mean, I guess
I kind of liked
pee
that
beforehand
as well,
and don't drink too much Pepsi.
It actually did feel like a chase all the way through.
Yeah, it was very sporadic, but I mean, I, like, peed and I'm like, what happened? And it's like, they all have cancer, and I'm like, what the fuck? And you're just saying all this shit. You had to make, like, a list of everything I missed in, like, a minute and a half, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I just went pee after one of the 45-minute race scenes.
Okay. Is it alright if I...
Yeah, no, I'm done.
My favorite part of the movie... Oh, man, that's actually really tough. The final chase was really good, but I'd have to say my favorite part of the movie in actuality was the opening scene. It's edited really sporadically and everything's kind of jumpy and everything's sped up and it's got kind of creepy music and it has a really surreal feeling and I thought that was just a really cool little thing. What didn't I like? That's a really tough one. You know, I guess we didn't fully get to meet all the characters so much. We already kind of knew Mad Max from the older movies, but and the lack of talking, the characters you do follow the whole time, Mad Max and Furiosa and Nux especially are the characters you meet, but the villain Joe, I don't feel like we got enough time with him that we really knew who he was. I guess it doesn't matter so much. He was just kind of an asshole dictator and he had sex slaves. But, you know, I think a little more a little more development on him might have been nice, but overall, the movie, I loved it.
I mean, before you get off that topic and close this video, so I have to awkwardly go back and then re-close it, I'm going to comment on that. I think I learned... I'm trying to think. I'm trying to regather my thoughts. You were talking for like 20 minutes and fucking closed the video, stopped the recording, and restarted it. Give me a fucking second to talk. Commenting on that, I mean... A lot of the characters, I don't think really needed much more of an introduction than we got of them. I mean, the women, they obviously had their motives, which was to survive and retrieve the peace, and just through how they acted, through their many of them didn't talk that much, but through their actions and things, you could tell what each one was. I mean, you look at the I don't remember her name. I don't know if she even had one, to be honest. But the black slave, she had a little more of like she had kind of a more independent feel to her. Like she was more willing to like especially when you see her kind of hijack that car back and stuff after.
Yeah,
I mean, with Max's help, but I mean, she had more of an independent feel. We had more of a motherly feel from the pregnant one.
The pregnant one also.
Yeah. But,
she also jumped in the way a few times. She knew that.
Yeah, no, I mean, she was the most motherly, and obviously I think that was partially personified by the fact that she was pregnant and stuff, but, but I mean, you learned what you had to learn, and there wasn't actually all that much needed to learn that, and you learned enough information. I would say about all the women, we learned enough from them, and even, of course, you have more of the savior feel from the girl who wasn't the slave but Furiosa. Was freeing them, Furiosa, and then but yeah, you have a lot of that in there. Of course, you have the themes of wanting to sacrifice himself. Although he was confused, he ended up changing his mind from what's his name, Beast from X-Men, Nux. You have that kind of feel of he wants redemption. He wants to be helped and help other people. I mean, you got what you wanted. I mean, and from the dictator too. You know, he's a bad guy because he rapes women. You know, he holds these people basically hostage. He's starving them. I mean, you actually get a lot of character development from the slight dialogue you have, and of course, over time, you see Mad Max starting to kind of want to join in the girl with the short hair's crusade and things, and it's interesting to see. You know, you actually do get a lot of character development from the small amount of talking, and that's interesting because when you can care about these characters even with limited information, that's proof of or being able to even summarize a character who speaks very little or none. I think that just shows how well this movie was written.
Yeah, the movie was fantastic. So, another pretty easy question, I think. Would you recommend it?
Mad Max, I would definitely recommend. Don't bring your 4-year-old kid to the movie, because some guy had a 4-year-old kid who literally didn't understand anything, and he was too young to really understand what to do in a movie theater. I mean, it's completely understandable. Like, I don't completely blame the kid. I blame the dad, but the kid's like, what's going on now? And it's like some naked chick and shit.
The kid was like completely below the understanding of anything that was going on in the movie.
He definitely shouldn't have been at this movie.
Not only that, but, you know, themes of rape and the abortion and...
Yeah, well, I mean, he probably didn't get those themes, but I mean, it's still sane.
It's still fucked up.
It's like, don't bring your kids to fucking this movie. And, I mean, the kid was talking, but I mean, he's a kid, he doesn't know any better. I don't blame him for that. The father was being a dumbass, but I mean, I would recommend this movie to anyone who just wants to see a good movie. Of course, it was an awesome movie, very sporadic, and it had a lot of action, but similar to it was kind of refreshing to see action that was like cool but not like universe shattering. And since Transformers and Avengers and Justice League and Superman and all that shit, everything has to be, you know, this earth shattering stuff. And I mean, it's just refreshing to see a movie like this where it's like these people drive cars and they want water
and gas.
Like, that's, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was cool. It was a good movie. I would suggest it to anyone. And also watch Machina, Ex Machina, while you're at it.
I would recommend Fury Road as well. Whether you just want it for action, but especially for the fans of all the other Mad Max movies. I've said it a few times in this video already, but this really was a classic Mad Max, Road Warrior, Thunderdome. It fit right in with the rest of the movies, and I was blown away by it.
Were you actually blown away?
I was.
Were you in tears?
I wasn't. Blown away doesn't imply tears.
Oh, blown away means you're speechless, you know, you're tearing up, because it was just good. I was blown away.
It wasn't
A+ for effort, smiley face sticker on the Blu-ray.
It wasn't like people were blown away by Birdman, where it was all pretentious and people were like, I am so speechless, my mind is blown.
We shit on Birdman a lot. I want to emphasize we like that movie.
I actually did like that movie. It was pretentious though.
It was pretentious as fuck.
But, you know, Mad Max, Fury Road, fantastic. Both movies, Ex Machina and Fury Road.
Yeah.